Do you want to know how long The Simpsons has been running for? When it started, I was a year younger than Bart. Now I'm 8 years older than Homer. I've gone from "don't have a cow, man" to being an old man shouting at clouds. Time is relentless and cruel, much like this game's last level. The Simpsons is one of those shows that should require an introduction that says, "This thing exists, you know it exists, like you know that ducks, Germany and hands exist." It's something that you know of. It's an iconic comedy starting in 1987 as a small segment as part of the Tracy Ullman Show in America, and quickly outgrew the Slough-born comedian's US vehicle and became its own thing. The family from Springfield debuted as its own entity in December 1989 and has continued to haunt the airwaves of Fox television ever since. Yes, creator Matt Groening's little sketches as a youth have become an enduring production, a merchandising powerhouse, and a comedy classic to boot. It features endlessly quotable zingers, and if you're my age or a little bit younger, to about the age of, 28 to 30, you've got a favourite Simpsons joke. It's as simple as that. Unquestionably, about 20 seasons past its peak by now, it's still capable of raising guffaws in the odd episode, and is one of the very few shows in this series that I'm doing to have continuously been running up until now, with the other four being EastEnders, Countdown, Mastermind and Neighbours. And the Ramsay Street crew have the black mark on their hands. You're for it, Bouncer. This June, death becomes you. Oh, you died already about 30 years ago. Poor Bouncer. Bart Vs The Space Mutants was originally an NES title released by Acclaim in April 1991, which the software house eventually also released on the three major Sega formats the following year. Ocean had noted the series' increased popularity on the nascent satellite station Sky Television in the UK and purchased the publishing rights for the Acclaim game. This was interesting as their other Sky acquisition, WWF, also had a game by Acclaim on the NES, but Ocean decided to make an original production more closely related to the Technos Japan's arcade game WWF Superstars than WWF WrestleMania or WWF WrestleMania Challenge. Despite being a bestseller, the original NES game wasn't a critical darling, scoring middle tier to above average reviews, so it's strange to see Ocean not come up with something original, or perhaps convert Konami's arcade game instead. The Spectrum conversion was, along with several other versions of the game, developed by Arc Developments, who also worked on the home conversions of arcade titles like Crackdown, Forgotten Worlds and Dragon Breed. Not Lee Carvalho's Putting Challenge or Bone Storm Mind. That's a deeper cut Simpsons reference. Am I doing this review right, Mama? Bart vs The Space Mutants came from a time when the main marketing push from the show was directed towards the rebellious Bart. I mean, do you remember the Bartman song, for instance? All the t-shirts featured Bart Simpson. This is why that generally the main protagonist of the games from the 16 and 16-bit era were generally Bart Simpson, as opposed to any of the other characters. Homer, the dense everyman, eventually became the show's foremost character, particularly as he was clearly the funniest and most developed creation, and especially as the marketing pitch went from children to sort of young adults at that point. So Bart, as expected of a 1991 game, takes the lead here. The town is being besieged by space mutants, unfortunately not Kang or Kodos sadly, and only Bart can see them thanks to his They Live style X-ray specs. So he must valiantly undo the mutants' low-key takeover of Springfield single-handedly before they take over completely and turn Homer and Marge into skin-suited beasts. He can do this in a variety of ways. Using his special glasses, he can spot the rotten space buggers wearing their human costumes and bounce upon their liars' craniums, making them drop a space coin that will eventually prove to the boy's family that he's on the level with them about all this interstellar invasion chit-chat. Quite how coins prove that the space beasts are rampant around the Quickie Mart and other locales around the Springfield area is not clear, but if you can't convince your family with trust alone, you can always pay for their trust with rare space minerals. This is indeed unconditional love. The family will assist in the game's boss battles against alien sympathetic show villains like Nelson and Sideshow Bob in return. The other thing Bart can do to dissuade the xenomorphs from stealing our planet's vital resources is scupper, their Earth-conquering weapon, which requires specific things to run, from hats to balloons to purple things. This is where the puzzle element of the game comes in. For instance, the purple objects in the first level have to be covered, changed to red, or washed of their colour, and Bart does this with a variety of collectibles and items purchased at the shops around his hometown. He has to know what to use, when and where to get this to happen. The game is full of interesting locales. There's a Krusty the Clown theme park, a rather immersive museum that makes the museums that I've been to, in that they're London, seem rather dull in comparison, and a mall full of killer shoes. Now, in terms of The Simpsons, the plot and the creatures such as the sentient converse are pretty far removed from the pseudo-grounded nature of the show itself, apart from, of course, the Treehouse of Horror episodes. And as a NES game, well, I'm not sure it works. That's a format which had a lot of different environments in its games due to the large development teams from the US and Japan having more resources to make these grand titles, along with a touch more technical heft, of course, from the NES itself. The best kind of platform games on that console, though, they tended to be action titles like Ninja Gaiden, Mega Man, Castlevania, Batman and the Super Mario games. Games like this, they didn't really work as console titles. I mean, I quite like Boy and His Blob, but I can see it's not as good as a Mega Man. But on the spectrum, Bart vs The Space Mutants feels like it has found its home. With its additional console polish, it genuinely feels like a good to great 8-bit micro game as opposed to a middling NES title. Graphically, it's really sharp, if a bit colour clashy. It's a solid challenge, and aside from a few annoying sections, such as the platforming section in the museum part of the game, or indeed the entire confusing lift mess at the game's finale, and yes, its control system is less than satisfactory at times. But you know what? We're used to that. Us Spectrum owners are used to the odd dodgy control, the slightly unconventional difficulty spike. We like a rough gem. And Bart vs The Space Mutants is just that. It's not great, but it's really, really good. So stay away from that nasty NES girl Bart. Stay with us. Oh no, we don't want Bart versus the world. Go away, mate. Go back to her. It's all good. In the October 1991 issue of Crash, the game notched a smash and the score of 91%, with Crash summarising that it's a packed arcade adventure ideal for Simpsons fans. In the December 91 issue of Your Sinclair, they thought it was worthy of a mega game, and they told you it was big, tough and lots of fun. Get it and do the Bartman right now. They did, I should note, give it a dismal 59% upon its budget re-release. That's not right, boys, come on now. Sinclair user bequeathed Ocean's Simpsons effort with a Sinclair User Gold Award and stated that the game has a depth that makes Neptune look like a sad, shallow man. Buy this game or you'll eat your shorts. That's a Simpsons reference, so I was doing it right. Can I work for a Spectrum magazine, please? Oh. Next up in this ZX Spectrum TV show malarkey, we've got Brucey, but only if you play your cards right. Like, subscribe, and K thanks bye.